I wake before dawn, the way I always have. The clock reads 5, but the house is still asleep. Heavy with the silence of people who expect to be served. The kitchen is dim, the air cool against my skin. And when I take the knife in my hand, it trembles, not from the chill, but from something deeper I don't dare name. 6 months since I married again. 6 months since I thought perhaps I would not have to grow old alone. And yet here I am, an old woman standing in a strange kitchen, preparing food for a family that does not speak my name. I line up the chopsticks, one by one, as if order could protect me. I whisper a good morning, though no one answers. Soon the footsteps will come, the boy with his phone, the daughter-in-law with her coffee, my husband with his newspaper. Each of them will take what I place before them, but none of them will look at me. I remember my first husband's voice, long gone now, but still alive inside me. You mustn't live only for others, Yuki. You must live for yourself. I hold those words like a pebble in my palm. Warm, but too small to shield me. Outside, a crow calls from the wire, its wings black against the pale sky. Free to fly wherever it chooses. I stand rooted here, bound by duty, and wonder, how long can a woman survive on silence? The days fell into a rhythm that was not my own. I rose before everyone, cooked, cleaned, folded laundry, and listened to the clatter of bowls and the silence that followed. My good mornings floated into the air unanswered. My husband hid behind his newspaper. My daughter-in-law barked her orders without ever looking at me. And the children learned quickly to treat me as furniture, useful, but invisible. When I caught a fever one humid morning, I thought perhaps someone might notice. My body shook, sweat rolling down my temples. Yet I still stood at the stove, chopping vegetables with trembling hands. I'm not feeling well, I whispered. But May, my daughter-in-law, only sighed. We all get tired. The bento must be ready by 7. Sho, my husband, glanced at me once, then lowered his eyes. His silence stung more than her cruelty. I staggered. The knife slipped from my hand and struck the floor with a metallic cry. Clumsy, she hissed. Go lie down before you make things worse. We'll buy lunch from the store. Upstairs, I curled into bed, throat dry, head burning, waiting for someone to bring me water. No one came until the evening, when Sho appeared with a glass and guilt in his eyes. He set it on the table, muttered something soft, and left before I could answer. That night, as I drifted in and out of fevered sleep, I heard May's voice from the living room. If she gets weaker, we'll put her in a home. I'm not doing care. She's just an extra mouth. It was then I began to write. At first just notes, in the corner of an old ledger. The date, the words spoken, the time. Numbers don't lie. A teacher learns that early. If no one would call me by my name, at least the page would. Weeks passed. My strength returned, but not my place in this house. I cooked, I cleaned, I obeyed, and I wrote. Small facts, sharp as pins, the receipts I was forced to fetch, the money I handed over, the insults that fell like dust onto my shoulders. And then, one morning, the doorbell rang. A box for May, another of her endless online orders. I opened the door and found him there, the delivery man. Young, maybe 25, with kind eyes. And the easy politeness of someone who still believed in manners. His name tag said Noah. Good morning, he said, lifting the parcel. His voice startled me. I had almost forgotten how it sounded to be greeted. I can carry it, I murmured, reaching for the box. He frowned. It looks heavy. Please, let me. Inside the Gen-Con, he paused, studying my face. Are you all right? You look pale. The words struck me harder than any insult. Someone had noticed. Someone cared enough to ask. I tried to laugh it away. It's nothing. I just get tired easily. Still, I felt a tremor in my chest that had nothing to do with illness. He set down the parcel, and before leaving, he hesitated. Then he said quietly, I see you here often. You always look so busy. But don't your family help you? I couldn't answer. My smile was weak, my silence heavier than truth. He seemed to regret asking, nodded quickly, and turned to go. But as he stepped outside, he looked back once more. My name's Noah. If you ever need anything, please, just say my name. For a moment I couldn't breathe. My name, spoken aloud, after months of being hey or grandma. Or nothing at all. There it was, hanging in the air like a gift. Yuki, I whispered to myself after he had gone. My name is Yuki. After Noah spoke my name, something inside me shifted. It was small at first, like the faintest crack of light under a closed door. But once you notice it, you can't stop seeing it. That night, when the others were watching television and I sat alone in the kitchen, I opened my ledger again. Until then I had written only fragments, brief notes to remind myself of what had been said. But now, I wrote everything. Dates, times, words exactly as they fell, the tones. The silences that swallowed my attempts at speech. I wrote about May mocking my cooking. Ken's grumbles about money, Show's long silences, the way no one ever said my name. I pressed hard on the page, Ken almost tearing it. Each word was a stone laid into the foundation of something I did not yet have the courage to name. And I began to collect more than words. When May tossed away receipts, I retrieved them from the trash, smoothed them out, and recorded them. The expensive creams she disguised as household items. The supplements she claimed were for the children. I took photographs with my phone, her notes on the fridge, the bowls left piled in the sink, my own hands red and cracked from soap and water. Even the security camera in the kitchen, meant to watch the children, became my witness. Each night I downloaded the footage, hours of me moving silently from stove to table, table to sink, while the others ignored me. I saved the clips, labeling them carefully. At first, I told myself I was only keeping proof. For what, I wasn't sure. Perhaps for my own sanity, so I could say it happened. I wasn't imagining it, but the more I wrote, the steadier my hand became. Sometimes, late at night, I heard my late husband's voice in memory. Write it down, Yuki. Records matter. They will stand when your strength does not. The next time Noah came to the door, he noticed again. You look tired, he said, handing me another parcel. Did they ever help you? I shook my head, though my lips stayed closed. He lowered his voice. My grandmother, she was treated badly too. She kept silent for years. But I used to tell her someone is watching. Someone cares. Please remember that. I nearly wept at his words. Instead, I nodded, clutching the box against my chest, as if it were not cardboard but kindness itself. That evening, after the dishes were done, and the house had gone quiet, I pulled out a fresh notebook. Not the old ledger disguised as a housewife's book, but something thinner, easier to hide in my apron pocket. From then on, I carried it with me. When May insulted me over the flavor of the soup, I wrote the time and her exact words. When Show asked me to reduce my allowance from 5,000 yen to 3, because the children's education came first, I wrote that down too. When little Misa slipped into the kitchen and whispered, "Grandma, thank you for the eggs," I wrote that as well, because I wanted proof not only of cruelty, but of love. Every page became my breath, my spine, my shield. And slowly, I began to realize something terrifying and beautiful. I was not only a victim in this house. I was a witness, and witnesses can speak. The notebook grew heavy in my apron pocket, though it was only paper and ink. With each passing day, I felt less like a ghost, and more like a witness standing in the shadows of her own life. One night, after everyone had gone to bed, I sat at the small desk in my room. I opened the metal box that still held my late husband's documents, his will, the deed to the small house by the sea, the savings account he had left in my name. I had hidden those truths, afraid of being seen as nothing more than a purse. But now, I realized hiding them had only given the others more power. I called Miko, my oldest friend, and told her everything. She listened in silence, then said, "You've carried their silence long enough. It's time you let someone carry yours." She gave me the name of a lawyer, Dana Fields. When I met Dana, she studied my notebook, the receipts, the recordings, the photographs. She didn't look at me with pity, only with respect. "You've built a case stronger than most professionals could," she said. "If you're ready, we'll proceed." Her words terrified me, but they also set me free. A week later, Dana stood by my side in the dining room, a leather folder in her hand. The family was gathered around the table, bowls steaming with the breakfast one had prepared. It felt right, almost poetic, that my final act in this house began with food they would not taste. I represent Mrs. Hashimoto, Dana said firmly. As of today, she is filing for divorce and legal separation of property. These are the records of financial exploitation, verbal abuse, and neglect, documented in detail. She spread the papers across the table, my handwriting, my photographs, my evidence. For once, it was not invisible. May scoffed, trying to laugh it off. All this time you were just waiting to trap us? You wanted the money, didn't you? No, I said, my voice steady. I wanted one thing only, to be treated as family. To hear my name, to matter. And when you could not give me even that, I learned to give it to myself. Sho stood then, his newspaper forgotten, his face pale. Yuki, I'm sorry.